I spotted this really cute cabinet at my local thrift store for $60 and thought it'd be a really fun piece to refinish and make over. There was a lot of mold on this cabinet, and I think that might have been a deterrent for some people to buy this, but I knew that could be an easy clean, and inside the shelving was still really good and the timber looked like it was in good condition. I'm excited to see how much I can flip this cabinet for. So you want to see how I give this cabinet a makeover? Continue watching. I'm starting here with a 80 grit, and as I was sanding I was a bit unsure if this was solid timber, so I ended up stopping and really trying to inspect the back end of the boarding, and I could see that it actually wasn't solid timber, it was a very thin veneer. The staining covered up the sort of MDF texture, so with that I switched to a 120 grit and just went a lot slower and gentler on the top to make sure I didn't burn through the veneer. At this point I wasn't sure if I wanted to sand down to the lip detailing, so I decided to just paint out the swatch to see what this looked like on the cabinet, but I wasn't a fan of this look, so I wiped it off and then just continued sanding the timber edges. Where I can, I always want to show as much timber as possible, so extending the sanding down to the edge of the moulding just will mean that it looks a bit more solid and overall just makes it look a lot cleaner and more elevated as well. With the top all sanded, I can now get to filling in a bit of the gaps with some wood filler. To create that smooth finish, I'm just finishing up on a 180 grit. Now with the top all sanded, we can get to work in cleaning and removing all this mold, and you can see just with the all-purpose cleaner, the mold removes really easily. So if you ever see any mold on some furniture, just give it a scratch test, and if it comes off, it means it's quite easy to clean. I knew I wanted to create a coastal look for this cabinet, so I decided to whitewash the timber first to see how much the whitewash picked up on the grain, and then from there I could decide on what colour would be best to pair with this. On one of the cabinets, when I noticed it in the thrift shop, there was a bit of pulling of the kind of veneer front of it, and decided just to rip it all off and keep it smooth rather than gluing it down, as it might be more bubbling later on. I think just with a bit of paint this would cover over and you wouldn't really notice the difference. To keep costs down, I'm just making my own custom colour and just painting out a swatch, but after having applied it, I was a bit too light and I wanted a bit of a richer sort of grey blue, so I decided to add a bit more navy. And now we get to see the makeover take shape. Whenever I'm selling furniture, I want to make sure that I've got clean lines underneath the timber top and on the base of the feet, so I always make sure to flip it on its back to get all the angles and to make sure it looks really clean and professional for my buyers. With the paint now all dry, I can finish up the prep, and applying the hemp oil on top of this timber will give it a nice richness and future durability for everyday use. After having reattached all the drawers and cabinet fronts, I realised that my painting was a bit messy, so I decided to paint the backing of the cabinet doors just to make it look cleaner and look more professional as well. With the cabinet doors reattached, I could see that the screws were a different colour to the hinges, so I decided to use a bit of rub and buff just to conceal and blend in the screws to the hinges. I first started with my fingers, but that was a silly idea as I couldn't really get into the details. So I decided just to use an artist brush to blend in and soften and complement the screw to the hinges. These are the hardware pieces I'll be using. So this is called Poseidon, and this is from my website at Renewed Living Studios, and I'll link this below so you can shop this exact piece if you're interested. Poseidon is just a fun knob to use and really just adds a lot of personality and also a really nice texture to any furniture piece as well. So to make sure this brass complemented the hinges, I'm just applying and painting on some of the rub and buff so that way it isn't too sharp of a contrast and just blends nicely all together. This thrifted cabinet was a really fun makeover. Though I had a little bit of a hiccup with the sanding of the timber top in the beginning, it all worked out in the end and I was able to get some timber exposed. And after about 4 hours of work, here's a reminder of how we began and what it looks like now. What do you think of this makeover and the combination of the hardware pieces? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. In total, this dresser cost $118 to make over. I listed this piece on Facebook Marketplace for $350 and it was a bit quiet for a few days, so I dropped the price and it ended up selling for $320. So I made a pretty decent profit of $202. And this profit is going to be going towards my wedding kitty, which is slowly building up. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to sharing more furniture flips and makeovers, and there's going to be some great pieces that are going to be really helping add up some of my savings towards my wedding. So thanks for watching and see you next time.